I am delighted to welcome our speaker, Hannah Jang-Condell, who is an amazing person with quite the background that you can see here and talk to her about at coffee chats. But I know Hannah because she's the program scientist at NASA headquarters. And so she will tell you what that means. So I will turn it over to you, Hannah.
Thank you, Anjali. I'm like you might be wondering why are we having this NASA bureaucrat speaking up here? I put my career path up here. We've just had this careers discussion. There was so much that some things I want to point out I seem to have this appear to have this straight line trajectory all the way through faculty, right? And it looks great. I will tell you though, that first postdoc, that was my one job offer that year. The Michelson Fellow, that was my one job offer that year, right? So it just takes one job offer though, fortunately, right? And so I could relate very much to what Beth said about, I got only the one job offer, and that's why I ended up where I was. But you can make it add up to a good career. The third postdoc, I got it because I had a friend who I met at some conference as a grad student. She was a postdoc. And I came to the end of my second postdoc and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And she said, I have a year of funding. And I'm like, great. And she kept me in astronomy. And the next year I got a faculty position. So networking is really not just about meeting people who are bigwigs, who are higher up than you. It really is about you just making connections with other people, and you never know where those things are going to end up. So I had this great, pretty standard academic career. And then suddenly I went to NASA headquarters 4 years ago. And, I can and have given a whole talk about this whole slide. But really, why don't you come and talk to me about that either today or during the week? I'll be here all week and we can chat. But what I do want to, what I'm here to talk about is what is headquarters for to some extent? Okay, so NASA 101. I work at NASA headquarters. This is not a NASA center the way Goddard is, the way JPL is, the way Ames is. Goddard, JPL, Ames, they build missions, they do science. NASA headquarters, we really are just a bunch of bureaucrats, right? We are doing the paperwork. We are running reviews. We are not doing the science. We are enabling the science, okay? Science Mission Directorate. So NASA headquarters has many different directorates under it. We don't just do science. There's this whole human spaceflight thing, right, that people get really excited about. There's space exploration, all that stuff as well. So the Science Mission Directorate is one part of NASA headquarters. Within it, there are several divisions. I'm actually working right now in both the astrophysics division and part-time the planetary sciences division. That's a bit of a complication I won't go very much into. And my title is program scientist. So this slide is just to give a little bit more of an overview. Right, NASA, we love our acronyms, right? So I will throw words like abbreviations like SMD, APD, PSD. And so this is to sort of orient you. SMD is the Science Mission Directorate. So that's this directorate within NASA headquarters. My home division is APD, or the Astrophysics Division. And I'm working part-time in Planetary Sciences Division, or PSD. But there are also three other divisions: Heliophysics, Biological and Physical Sciences, and Earth Sciences. Arguably, exoplanets is at the intersection of all of these. This is part of why I'm doing this double duty, is to make, bring those interdisciplinary connections, make them stronger within NASA headquarters. And then I just wanted to put a little context. You keep hearing the Exoplanet Exploration Program. And what is this thing? How does it relate to NASA? So within the Astrophysics Division, APD, there are 3 program offices corresponding to 3 science themes: the Exoplanet Exploration Program, the Physics of the Cosmos, and Cosmic Origins. Okay, and so each of these program offices, there's it's sort of a these program offices are branches of headquarters, so to speak. So those program offices are located at NASA centers. So the FISCOS and core offices are located at Goddard. GSFC is Goddard Space Flight Center, by the way. Whereas the Exoplanet Exploration Program is located here in Pasadena at JPL. And then each of these program offices has what we call a PAG, or Program Analysis Group, associated with it. And this is how we connect with the community, right? So we need to both get input from our scientific communities about, what people are interested in doing, what their needs are, but also for us to communicate to them, here's our strategic priorities, here's work that you could be doing that could help enable NASA missions. And so it's through these PAGs that we communicate with our scientific community. And I encourage all of you to get involved with the ExoPAG, because presumably you're here to do exoplanet work. And again, this is the community, join it. You are welcome. You should go. Each of these PAGs form science interest groups, science analysis groups, and findings. That's kind of the primary work that those groups do. And just for completeness, Planetary Sciences Division also has a number of analysis and assessment groups, mostly associated with different bodies in the solar system. So there's the Mars Exploration Analysis Group, or MEPAG, Venus Exploration Analysis Group, VEXAG, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just showing this for completeness. Okay. So why should you care about what happens at NASA headquarters? So in astrophysics, at least, we fund a lot of science in the US, okay? And so what the key thing we do in astrophysics at NASA is we fund space missions to do astrophysics. That's the key thing. And so we're always talking about NASA missions, okay? But there's also at the very top, it shows the research funding that we support, right? Because if we want to get science from these missions, we need to support the community to do that science, to create publications. We also invest heavily in technology because we need to have certain technologies to get our missions to work. And it's not just flagship missions like HWO, but also small sats, CubeSats, sounding rockets, balloon missions, all that sort of thing. So this is just, just sort of a by the numbers overview of what we do in astrophysics.
Keep going. I'm just trying to.
Okay. So in that context, what do I do? What is my role as a program scientist? So I manage some of these programs, right? And so some of the things I might do would be to manage RNA programs. So RNA stands for research and analysis. And that's basically referring to the scientific grant funding. So this is where, if you've got a PhD advisor who's writing proposals to get their summer salary, that's where they're applying for RNA money. We also oversee the mission development, right? So, if you are going to get your mission funded by NASA, you need to follow NASA's procedures to make sure your mission is going to be developed according to a timeline and on budget and according to the safety standards and mission assurance standards that NASA wants. And that can be all the way from your little CubeSats to Explorers missions to flagship missions. There's also a decent amount of strategic planning. So every decade or so, there's a decadal survey that Tiffany's going to talk about that is produced by the National Academy of Sciences. And that's kind of our marching orders for the decade. This is telling us this is where astronomy in the US is going to be going over the next decade. I do a lot of communicating with PIs, principal investigators, and proposers, right? So my job is literally, if I'm going to be running these RNA grant programs, my job, part of my job is to interact with people who want to propose. Okay, so don't ever be afraid to come up to a program officer and ask questions about their programs. I have this idea, is it relevant to your call? If not, where should I apply to? Okay. Part of my job is also just implementing NASA policies. A large amount of my job is quite frankly accounting, because I have budgets for things, right? And I need to manage the budget, for this program that I'm overseeing. Okay. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what specifically have I worked on? So I've worked on the XRP RNA program. So there's a ROSES call. Oh, I will get to define ROSES later. But that's an RNA program, research analysis program. So if you want to get funding from NASA to do exoplanet research, most likely you're going to apply to XRP. And one thing I should note that NSF is another funding agency that you can apply to for funding. DOE also supports some astronomy, but mostly like high energy stuff and not necessarily exoplanets. So for exoplanets, it's primarily NASA and NSF. But I work at NASA, so I'll tell you about NASA. As Anjali mentioned, I am the program scientist for the Exoplanet Exploration Program. So this program that is supporting this event today. There's the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, the TESS mission. I'm the program scientist for that. There is an ESA mission called Ariel, which will be doing spectroscopy of transiting exoplanets. I'm program scientist for that. I have worked with the ExoPAG as the executive secretary, so that's the headquarters liaison to the ExoPAG. I have been on the headquarters side of reviewing explorers' proposals. So these are missions that Keith is going to talk a little bit more about in his talk. MIDEX stands for Medium Explorers, and MO is Mission of Opportunity. Okay, so if you have a great idea for a NASA mission, you can apply to NASA with your proposal. And so one of my jobs has been to look at those proposals and run the review to lead to a down select for that. If you're a grad student, you might be very interested in this finest solicitation. It is Future Investigators in Earth and Space Sciences. This is our one RNA program that's specifically for supporting graduate research. Okay, so if you're a grad student, take note of this and think about putting in a proposal for that. And I've also worked with the SMD Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility Working Group, because one of the things we care about is, IDEA within NASA, whether it pertains to how we work with each other, but also in the wider community with respect to the people who are proposing. Okay, so what can a program officer do for you? So on the left shows, what I do, but what I can't do. So I manage review panels. So I manage the review for the XRP call, and I might recruit reviewers. I might assemble panels, but I don't evaluate the proposals myself. Okay, I rely on subject matter experts like you, or you may someday become. And I don't actually pick the proposals, right? I can recommend which proposals we should select, but there's actually a selection official who actually signs off on that. So the selection official can look at my list of recommendations and say, actually, that we won't do this one, we'll do these other ones instead. I can tell you, if you tell me your proposal idea, I can tell you whether it's relevant to XRP, okay? Or maybe you should put it in ADAP. But I can't tell you whether your proposal is going to succeed or not, right? That is not up to me. That is up to our panels and our selecting official. I can also, when you get your proposal evaluation, we, only up to, 20-ish% of our proposals get funded. So I can read to you you are always entitled to a debrief when you get your results back, okay? And so I can help explain to you what your evaluation is telling you, but I cannot just unilaterally change your proposal evaluation and turn it from declined to selected, okay? So given all that, how do you get funding from NASA, okay? So there are a couple main ways to do that. You can be part of a mission. So you should listen to Keith's presentation if you are interested in learning how to get involved in mission work and what that involves from the perspective of a mission team. Or you can get a research grant. So again, RNA's research and analysis. So every year, NASA SMD puts out a ROSES call, which stands for Research Opportunities in Space and Earth Sciences. And it's released on February 14th every year. So you get roses for Valentine's Day. And I put the link here. And if you go to that page, you get, well, okay, not that page, I don't think. But this is just a description of, you know, when roses gets put out, and there's links to the various things in there. And then if you click on table 3, that's the table I usually use, you get a listing of all the opportunities in SMD that you can propose to that year. Now, remember, there's 5 divisions in SMD, right? So it starts out, Appendix A is all earth sciences. And by the time you get to Appendix D, there's your astrophysics. Appendix C is planetary sciences. XRP is in Appendix F because it is cross-divisional. Okay, but if you want to know all the many opportunities you can apply for funding through NASA, pay attention to ROSES. Comes out February 14th every year. The due dates are listed. Pay attention to whether there's a notice of intent or a step 1 proposal due and whether or not it's mandatory. Because those deadlines are pretty hard, right? We have very little flexibility in giving extensions to people. So if you miss that deadline, you're out for that year and you'd have to try again next year. I will say planetary sciences does have rolling due date submissions. So so they don't have a fixed deadline. You just submit your proposal whenever it's ready. And then when they have enough proposals, they'll run a review panel. XRP, it does still have a due date. And just, you know, for your awareness, the step 1s are generally due March-ish and the step 2s are due June-ish. Okay. How do you learn to write a good proposal? There's really an art to it. I highly recommend attending a workshop. Back when I was a postdoc, I attended workshops at my university on how to write a good proposal, and I found that really effective. There are also proposal writing workshops that are run by SMD, and I have the link to it there. They're run by Christina Ritchie at JPL and Paul Propster. Another great way is to participate in a review panel. Okay, so if you get asked to serve in a review panel, this means you actually get to read other people's proposals, see what they wrote, evaluate them. And by doing so, you learn, you know, this is what it takes to write a good proposal, right? One of the best experiences I had as a postdoc was serving on review panels and seeing, you know, what qualities of a proposal made it stand out, you know, how to organize your writing, how to, you know, don't have a wall of text when you're writing your proposal, break it up with your figures, you know, things like that. And you can do this even now as a grad student. You can serve as an executive secretary. And so an executive secretary will take notes for the panels panelists as they're discussing each of the proposal. So one, you get to learn a lot of cool science, right? Because, you know, they're talking about these, these are all state of the art proposals, right? This is saying this is where the future might be going. So it's a great experience there, but also you get to see again, you know, what people are writing. Okay, so here's just, you know, I always got to put out the pitch to, you know, have people volunteer for review panels. We always need them. Stay connected. There's a various number of mailing lists. The slides are going to be available, right? So I don't have to go through all this, but I think that's my last slide. And I'll move to questions at this point. Okay, great. Sorry, took up all the time.
Not okay, you can do the spot one then.
Okay.
Yes.
Two quick ones on Zoom. Are you able to apply for these positions if you're not a US citizen and based out of the US? Apply for these
For being a reviewer?
No, I think for Yeah, yeah.
So you need to be at a US institution. Your personal citizenship, visa status does not matter. Your institution needs to be a US based institution. Grants are awarded to institutions, not individuals.
Another one that one asked very quickly was, what does NOI stand for?
NOI is notice of intent, and basically it's like, an abstract for the proposal that you will be writing.